Video, we'll be going over the student loan interest deduction worksheet, which is worksheet 4-1 in IRS publication 970. So you would use this worksheet to calculate your student loan interest deduction instead of the worksheet that's located in the Schedule 1 instructions. If you are filing IRS Form 2555, which is the foreign earned income form, where you can declare either a housing deduction, a housing exclusion, or a foreign earned income exclusion. IRS Form 4563, which allows taxpayers to exclude certain amounts of income from American Samoa, or if you're excluding income from sources within Puerto Rico. So basically, we're going to go through a very similar process as we did in the Schedule 1 instructions, except we're going to have to add back some of these items that were deducted elsewhere on the tax return. So once we do this, we'll arrive at a modified adjusted gross income, which we'll then use to determine how much of our student loan interest is deductible. So again, any qualified student loan interest that we calculate at the bottom of this tax form goes to Schedule 1, line 21, when you're filing your tax return. So let's go ahead and start at the top. Our hero, John Doe, he paid at least $2,500 in interest. From this form, we can't tell if he paid more. He could have $5,000 reported on his IRS Form 1098-E, but he's only allowed to put $2,500 in here. Line 9 of your Form 1040, that is total income, so we put $100,000 right in here. So as an aside, you should, before starting this worksheet, get to at least line 9 of your Form 1040, and then there are certain lines on Schedule 1 that you should calculate. So these are all the adjustments to income lines. So the amounts from Schedule 1, lines 11 through 20, 23, and 25. And this represents the following in order. So we'll take a deep breath and we'll go through each line. Line 11, educator expenses for teachers that go out of pocket for school supplies and things of that nature. Line 12, certain business expenses of reservists, performing artists, and fee basis government officials reported on IRS Form 2106. Line 13, health savings account deduction reported on IRS Form 8889. Line 14, moving expenses for members of the armed forces, IRS Form 3903. Line 15, the deductible part of self-employment tax calculated on Schedule SE. Line 16, self-employed SEP simple and qualified plans. Line 17, self-employed health insurance deduction. Line 18, penalty on early withdrawal of savings reported on either IRS Form 1099-INT as interest income or IRS Form 1099-OID original issue discount. Line 19, alimony paid in cases where alimony paid is still tax deductible. Line 20, IRA deductions. Line 23, Archer MSA deductions. And line 25 is basically a holding place for a lot of smaller, lesser known tax deductions that most taxpayers aren't aware of. So if you're calculating on line 25, you're probably very specifically aware of which tax deductions you may be eligible for. So you total all of those amounts, and in this case, we'll say that this amount was $20,000. Now, the amounts in lines 4 through 8 are items that we will have to add back to our income. So first in line 4, we're going to subtract line 3 from line 2. We end up at $80,000. So now we're going to add back a lot of these different items. So foreign earned income exclusion or housing exclusion, you would find that on line 8D of your Schedule 1. That's calculated on IRS Form 2555. And then the foreign housing deduction would be on line 24J. So let's just say that this was $5,000 each. So any amounts from Puerto Rico that you're excluding, let's just say 0. And if John's filing IRS Form 4563, then the amount that he is excluding from America Samoa. So in this case, we're going to add all of these lines together. We arrive at $95,000. Okay. So now we're going to enter a certain amount based on his tax filing status. Let's just say his tax filing status is married, filing jointly. In this case, line 9 is not greater than line 10. So he is going to skip lines 11 and 12, enter 0 on line 13, and this makes him eligible for the full amount of deduction based on what was reported in line 1. So he reported $2,500. That's the maximum allowable deduction in a year for student loan interest. So he carries it down here. Since he put 0 into line 13 as instructed, then basically that $2,500 carries down. Let's just change John's tax filing status so that now it says $70,000 because he's single. So this changes things a little bit differently because now John's in what we call a phase out. A phase out means that he may be eligible for a partial deduction, but not the complete deduction. But his income isn't so high that he's completely, he may be completely phased out. So in this case, let's see what it is. The total is $25,000. We're going to divide that by $15,000. We get 1.667. We multiply that by line 12. We get something, let's see, we'll call that $4,000. So since we subtracted $4,000 from the $2,500, that leaves us with 0. That means he's completely phased out of his deduction. Let's just change this number to, say, $75,000. Now his deduction is $5,000, or the difference is $5,000. We divide that number by 15,000 and we get 0.333. So now we multiply the amount up here by 0.333 and we get something like $833. And then we're going to subtract that from this amount up here, and this gives us something like 1667, I believe. So that would be the amount that John is eligible to deduct on Schedule 1, line 21 of his tax return. So I believe because this amount seems to be $15,000, you could play around with these numbers, but your complete phase out starts at $15,000 above whatever your number here is if you're single or head of household. If you're married filing jointly, then the differential is $30,000. You have a bigger phase out. So you do report this student loan interest deduction on Schedule 1. This is an above the line deduction. As the instructions say right down here, do not try to claim this as a deduction on Schedule A, Schedule C, or Schedule E. And I apologize for not being able to bring this all the way to the top. There we go. All right, so Schedule A is for itemized deductions. So you wouldn't even be able to put a deduction on Schedule A if you take the standard deduction. If you're if you're filing Schedule C, then you're a sole proprietor. You should not be reporting student loan interest here. And Schedule E is for supplementary income, and that's not an appropriate place to put it here either. So you'll put this on Schedule 1. That will deduct it from your personal tax return. So I know we mentioned a lot of forms in this video. We'll put links in the show notes to videos and articles that we've created about forms, specifically the form, and I'll take a step to clarify the difference between two tax forms just a second. But we'll put links to all the forms, to articles and videos we've created on all the forms that we mentioned here. So the first point, and probably the key point I should have made up front, is that the student loan interest that you will be looking to deduct is reported to you on IRS Form 1098-E. That is your student loan interest statement. Do not confuse this with IRS Form 1098-T, which is your tuition statement. So your student loan interest deduction worksheet calculations come from 1098-E. If you're looking to apply any education tax benefits, credits, such as the American Opportunity Tax Credit or the Lifetime Learning Credit, you would need to use the costs that are calculated on IRS Form 1098-T and then walk through those calculations separately. Student loan interest is calculated separately from education credits. So we'll put links to those in the show notes as well. We'll put a link to the walkthrough on the Schedule 1 instructions as well, just in case you don't know which video to use. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you want to know how to get to any of our articles, you can simply click the link, or you can go to teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in the name of a tax form you're looking for in the search bar, and you should see our article appear. So if you like our articles, subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if there's any questions or comments, or if there's a topic you'd like to discuss in a future video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.